Gather round, friends, new and old, and welcome to the POWWOW podcast. I am one of your hosts, Philip.
And I am the other one, David.
It is a relaxing week. This is the beginning for us, David, of a crazy couple of weeks here. We always like to be forthright and honest with you, the listening audience here. And there's really nothing to be kept back. But because of the holiday season, we would like to continue to do our once a week recording, bring you
our weekly duty,
our
if
weekly
you will.
duty, along with our weekly dropping of an episode. How many illusions can we make? But in order to do that, we're gonna have to kind of crunch a couple episodes together. So we're actually doing this episode and the episode that you guys would have heard a week ago actually is going to be recorded later on this week for us. So it's a whole whirl of twirl for us that we're going to be.
Yeah, we're trying to squash several episodes into 1 week so that we get a week off on Christmas. Basically, that's the real motivation behind this. Is that we can give you nonstop entertainment, weekly entertainment without fail, while still giving ourselves a week off on Christmas. Because that's what it's all about, right?
That is what the holiday season is about. Prepping so that way you can be lazy and eat cookies.
Exactly.
Well, it is here, the clash between the pods. We are finally being joined by one and two other hosts from the podcast Drink Wine, Spill Tea with Jamie Grossman and CJ Bathiani. Annie, dang it. I wrote it down. I'm so sorry, CJ. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
We're doing the wine thing, right, Phil?
The wine thing?
I brought wine.
Oh, I see. So I see Jamie has
covering up the label very, very carefully here. Although we're not recording this, so it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I brought the wine. I'm ready to drink wine and spill some tea.
Jamie has an undisclosed vat of liquid over there.
Vodka.
Maybe that's a white wine. A vodka. There we go. CJ, do you have something over there?
I have nothing. We're already failing you.
See, I figured you guys would. It would be your normal area where you guys would just naturally, once you know that you're recording, once the mic is near you, you guys are
You
drinking.
know what? Surprisingly, I don't usually drink wine at 3 p.m. Only when Jamie and I are recording.
Yeah, I think I might be the only person in the right time zone to be drinking wine at the moment, unfortunately. But I'll drink for all four of us. How's that?
Oh, bless you.
Amazing.
Which brings us to an interesting point. We are all coming to you from very different locations, maybe not time zones, but very different locations. I am recording in Arizona, and David Hoffman is coming from the Netherlands. Nothing's really changed about that. But CJ, you are coming to us from
New York City.
Yes, New York. And Jamie, you normally would be from New York, but you're in a special case. I know you announced it on your podcast, but I don't know if you are comfortable with sharing with the world where you are.
Yeah, I'm working on a cruise ship right now, and so currently I'm in Bimini, which is an island in the Bahamas.
Look at that! Now, have you already? Are you going away or to the Bahamas right now, currently, or just?
I am
passing
currently in the Bahamas right now. Like we're
Nice.
ported here. I can get off and we do a little beach set.
Ooh!
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. I'm a musician now, apparently.
Life can be tough sometimes, right?
It's really hard performing on the beach. It's my job. It's really hard.
Yeah. Well.
Oh my God.
Well, let us get to David's already taking the drink wine approach to it. Let's start to spill some tea for all the podcasting things. David, let's go with you first.
As the listener is probably inferred already, you guys have a podcast together, which is fun. Would love to know what that's like. I just want to know how you guys came to know one another before we get into the actual, all the weeds.
That's a very loaded question. Jamie, would you like to?
I'm glad.
No, Clayton, you say it.
The pleasure is all mine. Okay, so we are historically, in the history books, performers. And so we met doing a contract together. We were doing a couple of shows at a theater in Colorado in 2017, right? 2017.
Yeah.
And so we met, we were dance partners in like one of the first rehearsals, and she put her hand up my shorts.
No.
Then we suddenly were friends. I don't know how that happened.
No, you don't have to tell like all. Yeah.
It's okay, no. Jamie. You will have you'll have your chance for a rebuttal, but first we're gonna hear CJ's side of the story.
We're gonna hear his trauma. This is a safe space for you, CJ.
Already.
Yeah. we both have trauma from the summer. It's okay, but no, we just became really close like instantly, and we always just like started like jokes and bits about how we were the funniest people there that summer, and we like told everyone that we were going to lead comedy classes if anyone were interested, and we were just like the whole time. And so from there we knew that we just needed the world to hear our, like, I don't know, idiocracy. Is that the word? Is that even a word? Did I make that up?
No, that is.
No, it's a word.
It's a word.
It's a word.
Well, there it is. And that's how we met. That's how we met.
All right, Jamie, your rendition, your drunken stupor of the same story. Go ahead.
Same thing, I guess.
She's given up.
I'm going to concur. I've given up. I'm going to concur. Yeah. It was also like a chance for us to like.
What really bonded us. I was going to say what really bonded us was when I passed out on her in a bathroom. I think that's really what it was, and that's what bonded us for life and kept the friendship going after we worked together.
It wasn't just a pass out. You passed out and seized on me.
Oh,
yeah.
That's when we knew we were going to be friends forever.
I didn't want to go into those details. I just thought that maybe we would save everybody that. if you want to hear about that, it's on our podcast.
Yes, episode 1.
I'm just curious. Have you guys gone on a hiatus while Jamie's in the Bahamas, or are you recording remotely like Phil and I have been doing?
So we did a brief hiatus. So what we kind of did before she went on the ship, because we knew for a while, so we tried to just kind of record as many episodes as we could, and then of course life kind of got in the way, and so we didn't really get to record as many. So we were putting them out when we could and when we had them, and we've recorded I think 2 remotely just to like build the episodes up, but ultimately we actually decided to end it. We decided to end the podcast temporarily while she's there.
I thought that we were breaking news.
I was panicking for a second there. I was like, "Wow, are you making this big reveal?" I had all these questions planned that are about the future of the podcast.
You can still ask all of them. We actually announced it on one of them. Oh my, no, it's totally fine. But yeah, we just because of like the Wi-Fi and just like all that, and you know, the schedules, it just felt like it was easier to do that and just kind of refigure it out when we can.
Put it on hold. Right.
Yeah.
So tell us about the podcast in your guys' own words, like obviously where to find it, and a general overview of either what you talk about, what listeners can come to expect if they were to tune in, subscribe, and download the podcast. Jamie, you go first.
I mean, you can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. So like on that Apple app or Spotify, I feel like those are like the main ones that people like actually listen to. I think we have a Stitcher, but I don't think one person has ever listened to it.
What about Pandora? Are you guys on Pandora?
Ooh.
Yes, check us out on Pandora.
Wow. They're past us. They're past us.
No, we're not on Pandora.
I didn't even know Pandora one of our things is that we are not on Pandora. The application process, God bless you guys for getting past that.
I think I lied.
Okay.
I think I lied.
Yeah, she did lie.
It's extensive. They have like a background check and an FBI warrant. It's crazy.
I don't think we'll ever be, with how much we've disparaged Pandora, I don't think we'll ever be allowed on Pandora.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, okay. Moving on. Jamie. Sorry, CJ.
What is the podcast about, CJ?
The podcast has actually gone through a few different life cycles, I'll say. When we first started, it was essentially us just literally drinking wine and spilling tea with like the guest host that we had. We thankfully had a lot of really cool people to interact with just like right off the bat, just like friends that have done really cool performing jobs and things of that nature. So what we didn't want it to be was us talking about musical theater all the time with our friends that were big in musical theater. But that is exactly what it was for probably the first like 20 episodes. And then COVID kind of really made it have this big shift because we were obviously forced to record remotely, which we thankfully learned how to do. And then it just kind of became like us talking with each other and like recapping different TV shows we were watching. And we had like a whole section about RuPaul's Drag Race and different things that were going on. We had a big thing about the Black Lives Matter movement. So it kind of just became, instead of like spilling actual tea and people sending in like drama that we would talk about, it became more of us like talking about like actual tea, like real life issues and stuff like that.
So the tea became different brews. It became stronger. It became more darker. It just became a stronger brew. Love it.
Yeah, exactly. We initially wanted it to be like anonymous tea that people would like send in to us, like, you know, like this dramatic thing happened, and then we would read it and like talk about it and interact with it. And it was really fun, but obviously we weren't getting the revenue that we needed of people sending in all this drama. So it slowed down and we were like, all right, well, we don't have anything to talk about anymore. So I guess we'll just make a shift.
So who does what for the podcast? And for each of you, what is your personal hardest thing for producing a new episode?
So what I do for the podcast is I show up and I talk and I drink and then I leave and I go home. So that's what I do. And it's really hard work.
Yes, of course.
Just showing up on time, which I don't normally do.
Oh, even better.
Either. But that's my hard job.
I see. So CJ, producer / talent, how I guess everything else falls upon you.
You are correct. So we had some very clearly delegated responsibilities when we first started, and that has completely gone to so it's actually just me. I edit it and also do the social media because Jamie famously got kicked off of the social media because she was trying to solicit wine brands in our DMs. So they kicked her account off. So she's not allowed to access the Instagram. She didn't know how to edit until very recently. And she used to make the outline, but we don't do the outline anymore. So really it's just she shows up, but she's the heart and soul of it. She's the reason it's funny. So she really does. She does a lot more than what she's letting on, and I'll never repeat that again in my life.
You know, Jamie, what you said reminds me of an experience of mine, having been an actor on sets, and like everything is done for you. People take care of you. They're like, "Can I bring you something? Are you good? How are you feeling?" And then I recently had more and more experience as a PA on set, which is you're literally go from top of the food chain as an actor to bottom of the food chain as a PA. Anyway, just a side note there.
Yeah.
Well, now you are underselling, and it's impossible to not note this by any episode that you have. It's remained a constant, and I actually love it. Your guys' opening intro song. Now we've outsourced ours, so we were able to luckily get through Cass and Crossland, get some outro music and intro music through them. We're very blessed to have them. But you guys went a step above. You took your talents, and you guys both sing your opening intro like a la The Nanny or something. Like it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Whose idea was that? Did both or one of you guys compose that? Like, did you guys know the tune before you guys started? Were you guys drunk and then you started singing and that's what came out?
No, so we actually we knew that we wanted some kind of like really just cheesy jingle to kind of like bring us in, and we really thought that it was just gonna kind of be something like you know what I mean? Like, and Jamie thankfully had a friend that offered to, so we had a friend that we asked if they would write our jingle for us, and she was like, sure. And then she ended up not being able to do it. So she had a friend that she asked if he would just do it, and he went above and beyond and literally composed this like small orchestra.
Yeah.
Like, it's like multiple instruments, wrote us a melodic line, like had us do like a harmony and everything. And it was just so funny. We were like, this is not what we were expecting, but thank God. And then our friend who taught us like everything he knew about like podcasting and recording and everything like that, recorded it for us and like mixed it down. And we were just like really lucky that we had two friends that were really talented and knew what to do. And we literally just showed up and were like, okay, cool. Like, we'll sing it.
Yeah. And if you guys listening out there have not heard the episode, any episode really, at the very least right now, go and pause this podcast right now and go listen to that podcast, Drink Wine Spill Tea, the opening song that you guys put together. It's quite good. It's like Family Guy. It really does sound professional and like
I was thinking Family Guy as well.
Family Guy.
It does kind of sound like Family Guy. It's funny.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
I'm on a note that I sing in it, and people would remind me of it every single time it plays. And I'm like, don't you think I know? It just adds to the shtick. Shut up. Yeah. I'm like, we get it.
You were too drunk to care that you were flat. I love it.
Right.
So my next question, guys, is: has the podcast changed the dynamic between the two of you as friends? Let's go to Jamie first.
I don't think so, because I think when we're together, we're always just kind of idiots and we're kind of just dumb and we make each other laugh. And I think that on the podcast, I feel like that's what we like just try to do, is just make each other laugh and have a good time. Do you agree, CJ?
Yeah, I think if anything, it's like, I've always said that it's like made our friendship stronger. Because I mean, like, we met on a contract. The likelihood of those friendships actually lasting and staying real is so small. You think you're going to stay best friends and then you talk to each other like once a year. But like Jamie and I are fortunate enough to see each other once a week, usually, and talk to each other all the time. And we're just like good at telling the other if we think something is stupid or if we don't think it's funny. Like, we're very blunt with each other. And it's never hurt us, which I think is really good and it's helpful.
What is the number one thing each of you would say is the biggest area of improvement you've had from episode 1 to now? I believe you guys are like 90 episodes in, close to it.
Yeah, I think so. That's crazy. It's 85.
85. You're right. CJ, you're first. Let's go with you first.
The biggest improvement, I mean, first of all, the sound has improved so much, if you can even imagine, because it's still not perfect. But I think that the biggest improvement is just like the flow. I think that at the beginning we tried so hard to make it so structured that it ended up being a hindrance, I think. And I think right now, at least for the most part, we've found like a constant like flow of dialogue between the two of us, where even if we're like, okay, we don't know what we're going to talk about in this episode, we've managed to get something out of it that is at least funny to the two of us.
Jamie?
I was going to say along the lines of the same thing. I think at the beginning we like tried to plan everything out because we wanted it to be like good, but in actuality it just like put restrictions on things. And I think, at least for me personally, I think I'm better at like holding conversations now, and not just in the podcast but in my like regular life as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm curious what the budget is for an average episode of Drink Wine Spill Tea. How bougie does the wine get, guys?
Pretty cheap. I'm not gonna lie to you.
$3 up.
Yeah, it kind of depends. It depends on if we have somebody with us, and it depends on if it's the two of us. I mean, I could drink a whole bottle of wine by myself. So
cheers.
Really, yeah, exactly. So really, it depends on how much we think we're gonna drink while we're doing it. It's probably like the cost of 2 bottles of wine, and then the food that we order afterwards.
Do you guys have a favorite spot that you're like Popeye's chicken sandwich right afterwards or something?
I feel like we pretty consistently order Chinese food, right?
It's pretty accurate.
Chinese food or Thai.
Yeah.
Sometimes she makes food.
Oh, that'd be nice. How long did it take you guys to find the right amount of drunk to make a coherent podcast? I've heard rumors of the first 10 episodes, Jamie. I've heard rumors, but CJ, is it a consistent bottle of wine for you? Jamie, do you now only have a thimbleful? What are we talking about?
Listen, it did take a second for me to figure out how much I should and should not be drinking when talking to people, because I'm one of the people who like tends to, like, when I start to get like a little tipsy, I definitely start slurring, which is not good for a podcast when the only thing that happens is like talking. So that's really
or you would just yell at me.
I just yell.
She would get mad at me on the podcast, and I'd be like, "Oh my god,
I don't know,
are you bullying me?"
But I think it depends on the day and how much I've eaten, so I have to take that into account. I still don't know.
It, honestly, your hernia really helped.
Yeah, I got a hernia over COVID. And ever since then, I have not.
So she wasn't allowed to drink.
Yeah, I can't drink much.
So you went to drugs instead of, so take Oxy, not a spilled tea. Yeah, okay.
Right. Drink wine, shoot up.
Oh dear.
I'm just kidding.
So on that note, Phil and I have been planning to do, for a while, we've been planning to do a drunk/high podcast episode in the near future. Have you got any tips for us? I mean, I'm halfway there already for this episode, but I know Phil is not.
I would say just eat. Eat before. And try not to slur your words. Like, think about what you're going to say before you say it, because we've also done it where even if we're like a healthy amount of drunk, we're not slurring our words. Like, we listen back and we're like, wait, I can't believe I said that. Because you get braver like when you drink, and we've definitely said some questionable things. So just be careful.
Yeah, I've definitely made a couple of jokes.
Yeah, Jamie's made a couple of questionable jokes.
All right, well, this is a great segue, because I want to ask, I have a question for the group here. We're shifting a gear here. I have a question for the group. How is your
the feeling has come back.
Honestly,
Good.
I'm smooth as a porpoise down there, and it's great.
Never better.
I will say, okay, I'll clarify. I was going to listen to at least a few episodes just to prepare for this interview, and I listened to that one first, and I thought,
That's
you know what?
need.
I'm going to stop right there. I got all I need to know. This is perfect. We're going into this interview strong. Absolutely wonderful. That is the episode that I listened to. It's called How Is Your And it is absolutely hilarious. I was listening to it in the car with my sister, and we were both cracking up. It was so good.
I need to listen to that. I don't remember what I said.
We weren't even, that's the thing too, we weren't even drunk. Like, we fully, like, I think each had like half a glass of wine, and it
Apparently
was just
the wine wasn't very good.
Oh, it wasn't.
Yeah.
That's when I bought the nasty one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like the whole day was just very chaotic, but it was, yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
So Jamie, you said that you made some questionable jokes, and maybe this is where you're going to go with it, but have you ever said something on the podcast, either one of you, that has come back to bite you on the ass? Maybe something you said about somebody personally, and then it got back to them, and then you had to apologize either on podcast, off, something along those lines?
So that's a really good question. I think I've had to apologize to my mom a couple times. But no.
Shout out to Vicky. Or wait, can I say your mom's name?
Yeah.
Okay.
If a lot of people suddenly start listening to this podcast, then I think I will have a couple things to apologize for.
But thankfully, we have 3 fans, so it's there.
Not yet.
Well, you're about to double your listenership just by being here on POWWOW.
I've definitely had to not apologize to anyone, but I've had to explain a lot of things to my parents, because for some reason in the world of our podcast, I think that what I'm saying is protected, and
you get
that
comfortable.
No one's going to think, yeah.
It's
and
dangerous.
So it is. My mom has asked me a couple of things, like definitely times where I've talked about like my love life or something, where she's like, no, I don't think I like hearing about that part.
We've always been really cautious, and we always give a mom, skip ahead 30 seconds, or mom, stop listening right now. This is not for you.
Not me.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I've definitely said things about people that I've known in the past that I know that if POWWOW ever explodes and goes huge, I'm going to regret that in the future. But yeah.
Speaking of and everything, who chooses the topics? Who, like, is it one of you, like, specifically is set for that? Or is it like, speaking of podcast, which one of you chooses, like, is it just like, hey, by the way, this week I'm getting a Brazilian, let's talk about it? Is it like, just, does it come about organically? Do you guys have to manufacture topics at times?
No.
Honestly, pretty much like that's almost exactly what happened. I was like, I'm about to get on the ship. I'm trying to get like from here down wax. Do you want to join me? And then he said no. And I said, but we could record it. Then he said, okay. And that was that.
Or like sometimes, like I guess it depends. Like when we were recapping like RuPaul's Drag Race, like we did that for like a while because she hadn't watched it before, and we thought, well, we're already recording remotely. This might be like a fun thing to talk about, and it's like at least like a lot of people can like relate to it. So we just kind of knew that that's what we were going to talk about for a while. And things of that nature. Or like if we have somebody on it, like if we're like, oh, my friend is actually doing this really cool thing, I think it'd be really cool to talk to them about it. We just kind of like agree.
Yeah, you guys had Vinny. I listened to that one. That was a good one.
You listened to Vinny's?
Of course I listened to Vinny. We love Vinny.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
You guys talked about having not being a part of the lunch with Oprah and Viola Davis and
oh right,
yeah,
Kerry Washington.
Kerry Washington. You're like, we just want to watch. We just want to watch from the outside. We don't even need to hear them. Just watch them eat tea and crumpets or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, I would pay to watch them all eat.
And I have.
And I will.
All right, I got a spicy question here. Have you, do you, or would you ever get political on the podcast?
Yes.
Oh, 100% we have.
Absolutely.
I'll get political at any event.
So that wasn't even a discussion for you guys. You guys went into it knowing that you wanted to curse, knowing that you wanted to get political. None of that was ever like, well, maybe we should worry about it at all.
No, because it's not, I feel like the podcast, especially for the two of us, was like an opportunity for us to be like, I know exactly how this is about to sound, but it's like a chance for us to be like our authentic selves, because it's like professionally, I just play children a lot. It's like that whole kind of thing. So it's like a chance for us to like say what we want to say and be artistic, but in like our own way. And in our own way, we curse and we are political and we drink. So it's like,
you know what though, these days being too political has really mostly to do with morality.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you guys.
And like my philosophy with it is that like if I didn't want what I am saying recorded for like public hearing anyway, then like I probably shouldn't be saying it. I don't know. Like, it's like, I have no problem sharing my political opinion. I'll do it drunk in front of my mom, or I'll do it completely sober with my grandma. Like, I don't know. I'll say it on the internet. And if somebody has a problem with it, well, don't listen to my podcast, I guess.
Do you get political on your podcast?
We talked about Ted Cruz once.
We did.
I definitely, I think, made my opinion pretty clear on Ted Cruz, but no, for the most part, we keep it pretty lighthearted.
It's not like, we try to, we more so focus on the fun aspect of it.
We know that most people don't want to listen to that. So I think POWWOW maybe is a little bit more of an opportunity to talk about that doesn't matter. Like what would you do if the apocalypse happened? We definitely did an episode about that.
Yes, we realize and acknowledge that we are the meaningless podcast that you just listen to on the way to a jacuzzi. I don't even know. Would you ever let a company whose wine you detested, and I bet you guys won't want to say the company that you're thinking of off the bat, I don't know, but let's just say it's a boxed wine, maybe Barefoot, I don't know what your personal detestable wine is. Would you ever let any wine you detest sponsor the show?
Probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a sellout.
Money is money.
Yeah, I'm a sellout.
And today we are drinking the most delicious Barefoot. What was it? Oh yes, it was a pink wine. Pink wine.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not above promoting brands I don't believe in. I've done it before. I'll do it again.
Yeah, we got offered a sponsorship, not a sponsorship. What was it? Like just sort of a promotional
I think they
thing.
Even labeled it as a partnership.
Partnership with Smooth My Balls on the subject of waxing and shaving genitals. Yeah, we got an offer a partnership with Smooth My Balls, which
we should say that we weren't against the product or even the product's service. It just was like the company that we were like, whatever.
The incentives weren't there. We were like, no.
But
Right.
everybody, obviously, shave your balls if you want to, unto each person themselves.
I was gonna say, pass them over to us.
Yeah.
We'll talk all
I am
about getting hair removed from our body.
Shocked that you haven't already gotten a message from. We've had them reach out to us like 8 times, and it's just like at this point we just ignore it. No,
Yeah,
thank
Jane
you.
can't read our DM, so maybe she saw it.
Just for that, just because they've reached out, and I've said their name now twice, because they've reached out to us so much and they won't leave us alone, I'm going to recommend to everyone manscaping. Smooth my balls. Go to manscaping. It's way better. I'm going to present to you guys a scenario. You guys get to invite a high-profile guest to come on the podcast and spill tea with you. Who is it going to be? Jamie, you first.
I know who she's gonna say.
You don't know.
All right, wait. Okay, no, there's no way we can check if you're. I was gonna say, can we do some way where if he's right? No, Jamie, you go first, and we'll trust CJ's integrity if that was the person he has in mind.
I don't even know who I'm gonna say. The first person who I would think of is I think I would want to invite Lizzo maybe because she seems like a good time. She's like down to clown. She's like down to hang, and I bet you she has some pretty wild stories. First person I thought of.
Who did you think she was going to go with, CJ?
She was on my list of people that I thought she was going to say, but my first person that I thought she was going to say was Daniel Radcliffe.
No, I'm too intimidated.
And plus, an intimidated drunk Jamie, that's a recipe.
Yeah.
That is a recipe.
She'd be stressed.
I'd be way stressed.
She's right now. She's stressed, and he's not even here with us.
I know she got red. Her face got red.
She got red. She's like stroking her hair. She's flustered. She's visibly flustered right now. And all we did was mention the man's name. My goodness.
Oh my God.
All right, CJ, who would you pick?
I would say a drag queen of some sort. One that isn't so big. Like, I don't know if we could have like Trixie Mattel because I feel like she wouldn't even like care to talk to us. Somebody that's like big enough where everyone would be like, oh, okay, cool. But like not big enough to still be like humbled and like want to talk to us.
Have you ever seen RuPaul's Drag Race, David?
I watched the first 15 minutes of the first episode. I'll just say this. I really hate reality TV, and I've done background for reality TV before. So I was like background at this restaurant once where they were talking at this table, and we were just supposed to be in the background as other guests at this restaurant. And they did it like this. They had this conversation, and then the director steps in and it's like, cut. Okay, try this. And then they said the exact same thing a second time, just slightly different. And I was like, well, there you go. There's your proof. It's all manufactured. It's all nonsense. I just like, it just irks me a little bit. Like, so I'm not a huge reality TV fan. I don't love the cattiness.
I love it.
Yeah. So I've watched the first 15 minutes, I think, of the first episode, like 7 years ago or something. It wasn't for me, but what about you, Phil? Have you seen it?
The absolute drama is astounding. I love the how in depth they go to lip sync for your life or whatever it is that they. I love
it's incredible. It's incredible work.
That alone, and especially as a competition junkie, I love sports and I love heavy competition. I will admit that's actually like a really good component of the show. I've seen worse. America's Next Top Model. I mean, who the heck? It's so manufactured, so opinion.
I can't with America's Next Top Model. You know what reality TV I do like is cooking competition shows.
Cooking competitions.
So does Jamie.
The king of all is MasterChef Australia. It's fantastic.
No, Jamie, name your top one. And if it's not something, I'm going to be very disappointed in you.
The Great British Baking Show.
Oh, no, it's Cutthroat Kitchen.
Oh, no. I'm almost done watching all of Top Chef. I'm on like the last season, and then I'm going to Top Chef Masters.
There we go.
Trust me, MasterChef Australia, there's no personal drama whatsoever. They don't do any of the, he said this about me, and I am so done. I am going to kick his ass in the kitchen tomorrow. It's none of that. It's all about the cooking. I love it. It's fantastic.
I love that because I like love food. Okay, I can't wait. I'm going to watch it. I'll let you know.
Australians are too busy trying to survive. They don't have time for drama.
Exactly.
Speaking of trying to survive, why don't we try and finagle and waltz our way over? David just finished his last little sip, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Let's try and move this group along to play a little game. Let's try. This episode of POWWOW Podcast is sponsored by Sides.
Meet Sides, SIDES, an app that helps you take the law into your own hands.
Turn ordinary agreements into binding contracts in seconds. Then, if a dispute arises, Sides will step in to resolve it for you.
Wait, Phil, that was supposed to be my line.
What did we agree to in the contract?
I don't know. I guess we can use Sides to settle this dispute because each dispute costs a small one-time fee.
And if you win, which I will, it's all awarded back to you.
Sign up now and get 16% off for a limited time only. Our mini segment this week is Would You?, where we ask each other a would you type question that the other person must answer or else. And you don't even want to know what the consequences of that are. But anyway, so my question for you, Phil, is would you get a Brazilian for the sake of the podcast for reach? I'm sorry. As you may have picked up by now, I'm quite drunk. Would you get a Brazilian for the sake of the podcast for research purposes, as they did on Drink Wine and Spill Tea?
It's weird, oddly enough, that you bring this up. David Sampson, who we will be having on later on during the game portion of this episode, he and I have a bet that he lost because of our fantasy football season. I know we talk about fantasy football and sports a little bit too much, but he lost this year to us in our yearly and annual fantasy football bet, which means that this year, his punishment, David Hoffman, is that he has to get a Brazilian. So what I will say is that if it's all right with you, this would you, I'm going to say no now, but I'm going to see, not going to see it all, but I'm going to see the effects of of how a Brazilian on one person can do. I can see the effects firsthand.
Did you at all listen to the episode that I was referencing?
No, I listened to about 5 different episodes, but that wasn't one of them.
Oh, well.
Is it a gem? It sounds like it was a gem.
You missed out. It was fantastic. And I really think, it's definitely an idea to spice up the podcast. We should consider it, man. I don't know. We'll both go get Brazilians and
we'll
talk about it afterwards.
We'll have to talk about something because we don't want to blatantly steal what they did. So we'll have to see. Maybe we'll do something and I don't know. Maybe it'll be the entire bottom of our half is whack. I don't know. We'll talk about it. My would you ever have a child with someone if it was assured to you, because you want a kid at some point in the future, Hoffman, correct?
I do.
Okay.
I do want a kid.
Okay. So would you ever have a child with someone if it was assured to you that the first child you would ever have would have a disability / handicap?
Wow, that is tough. As much as, people with handicaps and disabilities should be accepted and given the help that they need, et cetera, knowing beforehand that your child will have a disability kind of changes the game. I don't know. I mean, maybe at that point I would sooner adopt. I think that would be my answer. If I knew that my child, if I were to conceive a child, my first child would have a disability, I think maybe I would adopt and avoid conceiving that child altogether. But luckily, we don't live in such a world where you get to know these things beforehand. So for our once more, we're talking a little bit about our motivation to become podcasters in the same way that we ask such questions of CJ and Jamie, but we want to talk a little bit about what got us into this. And here we are in episode 41, and we're going to let you guys know why we decided to do this.
Yeah, I think we talked about our backgrounds. We talked about who we were as people, especially going into the first episode. but I don't think we ever.
which I listened to this past week.
Did you?
Spotify decided that I should listen to the first episode of POWWOW. For whatever reason, it just started playing when I clicked play on Spotify. It happened to be the first episode. It was weird, man. But
how cringy!
But I ended up listening to
how cringy
the first episode. It was. I mean, it was weird hearing things so out of order. We did That Slaps not at the end, which we've been doing for so long now. It seems like
I think
the
that
norm.
was like what 3 weeks in, 3 episodes in that we changed that permanently.
I think so, something like that. And I heard Fun Factoid, which we haven't done in a long time.
We still gotta
it was
put our minds together on that one.
Yeah, it was interesting. It wasn't as bad as I thought. We have worse episodes than that one. That one was not as bad as some other episodes that we did early on. But anyway.
Yes, but what led us into podcasting with each other? Do you happen to remember our first conversation about this? Now, I remember...
I don't. I'm sure I could look back on our text messages and find out. I didn't bother to do that. However, I don't know. I guess you had a podcast before we ever had a podcast. It was called Chopped Greens.
Yes, it was.
It's still there. It's still around. You can still find it on Spotify. I don't know if you haven't released an episode in quite some time, but it's called Chopped Greens, and it's very good. It's mostly movie reviews, correct?
I'd almost dare say exclusively. The only difference would be the second half, which we release as a separate episode. But yeah.
So it's like, so Phil has a guest on, and they review a movie on the first episode, and then the second episode, which you record at the same time, or at least we always did, is called Gimme Five, and you each ask each other 5 questions. And so Phil and I did several episodes. I came on Phil's podcast several times, and we loved doing it, and we had talked initially, even before I had ever been on that podcast, about doing a podcast of our own as co-hosts. And so we did several episodes of Chopped Greens with me as a guest, and that sort of got us warmed up, and we decided, let's do it. Let's create our own podcast, co-hosts, and haven't looked back.
No. I remember thinking back when we first started this, because I've always kind of been looking for another host such as yourself. But for the qualities that I found appealing within you for a host is somebody who was as... And this, I always hate to say this because it seems like I'm bagging on previous people. It's really not. It's just certain people have certain strengths and certain people don't. And what I need for me as a fellow co-host were the following things that you possess. One, somebody who was as dedicated as I was. I swear to God, I know that for anybody who if they ever hear that, like, I edit the podcast, I release the podcast, I swear to God, that is like half of what it is. And David Hoffman does such a tremendous job on the other half. You are so dedicated. And whenever I talk to you, you're always up for a conversation concerning whatever it is we need to do for the podcast, always there to bounce ideas off. You're always like, when can we record? When can we do? I freaking love how dedicated you are to the podcast. It re-inspires me weekly. I like our chemistry. I knew that it was there because of our friendship prior. I think that much like what CJ and Jamie had, and I'm sure this is a constant for most people who stick with the podcast format, I think that this podcast has certainly strengthened our friendship. And I think that
absolutely.
But I do think that there were the embers there prior to this that certainly helped. That helped me feel comfortable enough to say there's a chemistry there. I know whenever we have had conversations in the past, they've been good. I can normally I take note of people's vocal qualities and tics, because everybody kind of has their own tics. And I was like, yours are completely fun and fine to be around, and quite frankly editable if necessary. So you have those, and then plus you have a great sense of humor. Me being weird is something of a necessity for me to be like fully encompassing of who I am and what I like to do whenever I'm broadcasting, and you're totally on it. You're on board. Very rarely have you ever said no to me. And even when
time to get those friggin' Brazilians, man.
And I'm the one hesitating.
I don't know, man. It's been great, and you know what I think our strength is that we communicate very well. Whenever one of us has a criticism, even like I'll admit some of the criticisms that I've brought to you in the past, not of you necessarily, but just of the podcast. Like I come to you with a suggestion, like maybe we should be doing this to make the podcast richer and more interesting. and sometimes it's totally irrational and doesn't make any sense. We communicate in a very healthy manner.
Oh, yeah.
We communicate very effectively, and I think that allows us the freedom to say what we need to say, and that keeps it strong and healthy and open and honest. And that really is why we've lasted 41 episodes and still going strong, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. If anything, if we weren't as strong, we would be taking a lot more breaks. We'd be running out of like ideas. We'd say, "Oh, holiday season, yeah, 3 weeks off, let's go." No, I think we are like actively wanting to do episodes. We are actively trying to make sure that both you, the audience, is satisfied, and we are satisfied. We enjoy the heck out of doing this.
Now, oh, absolutely. Now, I do want to clarify. If we happen to take 3 weeks off at some point in the future, don't automatically assume it's because
dead.
we're having trouble.
Hoffman's dead.
It might just because
Philip's dead.
It might just be because we've had so much to do over how many weeks have we been doing this? It's episode 41, so at least 41 weeks that we've been planning and but more than that, really. And so it might just mean that we need a break, which is going to happen pretty soon eventually, I think. But
our streak,
here we are, still going
our streak,
strong.
hopefully it lives for a while longer. We are joined by another David, and of course, the Drink Wine Spill Tea crew is still with us. So we are now a plethora of people right now. David Sampson joins us via his room, via his robe, via his entire entourage. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us. And Sampson, you are going to be joining us because you're going to help us through a game. There's, of course, now 4 people playing. So I figured we might as well get to some partner work, some partner study, since we've all been actors at one point in time or another in our preferred life. So, David Sampson, take us away, lead us to the game.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. My name is David McStudley Muffin Sampson. I am your host today. The first part of the game that we are going to do is we're going to partner up across the podcast. So between David, Philip, Jamie, and CJ, I'm going to pair you off.
All right.
For the first pair that we're going to have is going to be Philip and CJ versus Jamie and David Hoffman.
Let's go. Let's crush it, CJ.
All right. Awesome. Let's move on to the first part of our game. We're going to do something that is very fun. We're going to do impressions.
Ooh.
So I will pick one person from both teams as I, David McSexy Man Sampson, will give you a celebrity to impersonate. This could be an actor themselves, a famous role they play, a musician, a celebrity chef, really anything. And the person who does better in the head-to-head matchup between the two competitors will get a point for their team. And I will be determining who is better. Are you guys ready?
Let us
ready to
go.
play?
Yes.
I'm going to call the first 2 people up now. First 2 people is going to be Philip versus Jamie. And here's the impression. You guys need to do an impression of none other than Donald Trump.
Who goes first?
And we're going to have Philip go first.
Okay. Well, thank you all for being here. It's a great podcast, wonderful podcast. Never felt a podcast any better than this. It's a nice, warm podcast. I think that all of you guys around here are tremendous people. I haven't seen people like this since Florida 1877. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was actually way more impressive
That was
than
good. That was good.
Thank you.
Awesome. Now we need Jamie to follow up on that to get her team a point.
I don't know how to compete with that. I'm Donald Trump. My skin is orange. I'm an idiot. I'm the president. And there's my impression.
All right, let's have a drum roll.
All right. It was really, really close. But unfortunately, as much as I was rooting for Jamie to win, I have to give the point to Philip. So Philip and CJ get 1 point. David and Jamie are at 0. Time for the next pair. The next pair will be CJ and David Hoffman.
Bring it.
Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Here we go. You guys will be doing an impression of Seth MacFarlane as Peter Griffin. Let's start with David Hoffman first.
Hey, Brian. I really shouldn't have had so much weed and wine before doing this impression. Oh my God.
That's all I got.
And scene.
Wow. It sounded like he went through, a really bad smoking habit before you came on.
That's
wow.
Peter Griffin
All
with
right.
a nose congestion, a nasal congestion.
Yeah. There's a lot wrong with that Peter Griffin. All right, CJ, he set the bar pretty high for you, so let's see how you do.
Oh my God. I haven't seen Family Guy in like 5 years. Lois. Brian. That's it. That's all I got.
That's it? You just saying 2 names? That's it?
The only thing that I can remember that he does is when he's like,
That's what I was thinking as well. But I was like, no one's gonna get that.
or when he sings Shapoopy. That's all I. That's all I.
Yeah.
Spoopy's a classic.
Shapoopy. Shapoopy.
That girl is hard to get.
All right,
Let's call that one a tie.
I have to give 1 point to someone, and I think I have to give it to none other than CJ. That was actually not too bad. Not too bad. All right, we move along to our next pair. We're going to be putting together CJ against Jamie.
Thank God.
Ooh. Now, this one will be interesting. All right, I'm going to have you guys do your best Ewan McGregor impression as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I've never seen Star Wars.
You never seen Star Wars?
I don't know anything about Star Wars either.
Just do your best.
Okay.
This should be fantastic.
All right, you know what? Since both contestants don't know who this incredible man is, I am going to put in a new impression for you guys to do. This one, I hope you know. It's fairly recognizable for most people. You're going to do your best Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. Let's start off with CJ.
I'll be back.
Hey, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Way to go, team.
Jamie.
I'm the governor of California. Let me do
I have to say that was kind of inspiring. I kind of liked it. I'm going to give a point to Jamie for that one.
I get it.
That was so bad, it was kind of good.
Yeah, it was so bad that I kind of liked it. I really did. It was the gas that got me. Yeah. So the score now being Philip and CJ 2, Jamie and David 1. We go to the final pairing before we move on to the second part of the game. Now let's take a look here. This will be against David and Philip. You guys will be going against each other. And your person to do your impression of is Michael Jackson. Why don't we start off with David Hoffman first?
Nailed it.
There were no words, and yet I knew exactly who you were talking about and who you were doing an impression of. Your turn, Philip.
Well, I just think all the people in the world are just lovely little people, especially the little children. I love the children. And I just think that whenever I talk about ABCs, I just want to teach all the children A, B, and C. I love them. And whenever I look at that man in the mirror, I just think, come on now!
Wow. That is actually, wow. That was incredible from both parties. Went 2 completely different ways about it, and yet 2 very viable options. This is tough. I think I'm going to have to go with Philip, unfortunately. It was close. It was close. Like, I was kind of expecting that, but I wasn't expecting that from Philip, and I was caught off guard. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thank you.
wow,
The
wow.
boldest performances usually are catching you up.
Bold and controversial. on the part of Philip Amarang.
Absolutely.
All right. So we have the score right now being Philip and CJ 3, David and Jamie 1. But there's still a chance to catch up with this next section. So now we go to the second part of our game. The game is called Create a Scene, where I, David, the sexiest man alive, Samson, will give each acting duo a scene prompt. They then need to create a quick scene that incorporates the prompt, which will be different than the one I will give the opposing team. Whichever team's interpretation of the prompt I liked better will receive a point. And since you both will be doing 2 scenes, I will be flipping who goes first in both rounds.
Are points worth double in the second round here? They should be.
You know what? They are worth double because
very good.
We want to add some excitement to this, all right?
Absolutely.
First off, let's start off with Philip and CJ.
Got to get into character. All right.
Now you guys will get to choose which character you want to play, but here is your prompt. A manager accuses an employee of shoplifting at an adult store. Feel free to be whoever you want.
CJ, do you have a preference to be the manager or the employee?
You know what? I work retail, so I can just do either.
Okay. I'll be manager if you don't have a preference.
Okay, great.
Hey, CJ, how's the front doing? Everything seemed to be in order? Customers all satisfied and everything?
Yeah. I've just been kind of talking to everyone as they come in, just doing my thing.
Yeah, CJ, are you familiar with the employee conduct policy here at Hustler Hollywood?
Yeah, absolutely. I've studied it daily.
Daily, good. That's really good. So you know that, how do I put this? The blueberry lube is not available to employees en masse.
Yeah, no, I would never think anything other than that.
Right. And it just seems, I've been going through inventory and there's a missing, I don't know how else to say this, a missing crate of blueberry lube, which is odd because if somebody were to steal a couple bottles of lube, that'd be one thing. But this, we're talking about, this is enough for a small population of a California city amounts of lube. Would you happen to know anything about that?
No, you know what? That's actually crazy. I have not. I don't know anything about you said a crate? A crate?
A blueberry loop. Now, is that a blueberry lollipop popping out from the side of your pocket there?
No, it is. It is a blueberry lollipop, and that would happen to be my favorite flavor, but only of lollipops.
Only of lollipop. That's it. Are you allergic to like blueberry lube?
I cannot confirm nor deny that I'm allergic, but I do get an irritation. An irritation. Wonderful. When I use it.
Absolutely.
So I would never personally use it. Only strawberry.
Only strawberry. That's fantastic.
Only strawberry.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you.
All right. That was our first prompt. Okay. Now we will see what Jamie and David will be doing against them. A stranger accidentally spills some punch on Shrek the ogre at a party.
I'll be a stranger.
I gotta be Shrek. I'll gotta be Shrek here, yeah.
Ready?
Whenever you're ready.
Oh!
What are you doing?
I'm so sorry. I think...
Don't you come in here around my swamp and you spill your blue liquid all over me.
You are the host of the party who has blue liquid at a party where people are dancing, it's an accident.
Look, it's a swamp. You do what you want, but you don't spill your drink on the host.
But isn't the point of a swamp that it's a little gross? I'm just adding to the ambiance of the swamp.
Look around you. Do you see any blue? It's all green and brown. I'm Shrek. I'm scary.
Well, I see blue on your clothes now. You know what? And you look great. Maybe you should consider dyeing them.
Thank you. Don't know what to say. You know what? I don't really like Fiona that much.
Yeah?
Are you single?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Do you want to go grab a few mushrooms and toads with me?
Honestly, I thought you'd never ask.
Let's go. How about that?
Yeah.
End scene.
Bravo.
Wow.
Honestly, nailed it.
Nailed it. And with that, they get 2 points because of that. Wow. I think it just goes without saying that they definitely won this round. Nice. All right. So we have one more prompt for each group.
Yes, unfortunately.
Right. Hold on. Jamie has to leave.
Yeah, Jamie has to leave.
I'm so sorry. I have a meeting
right.
in 4 minutes.
That's all right.
Thank you so much for having me on. This was super fun. So glad we won that last one. Thank you.
Now that brings the game to a halting close, but wait. The score now is 3-3. We have a tie, which means we now need to figure out what will be the tiebreaker. Because we need to have a winner of this thing, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So now here's what's going to happen. The tiebreaker will be the first person to guess what impression I'm doing will be declared the winner for their team.
Sounds good. So if me or Hoffman guesses it correctly, then we'll be good to go. But if CJ guesses it correctly first, CJ, I guess you're just gonna have to spin the bottle on who you want to win.
I have my thoughts.
Okay, fantastic.
And so the way this works is once I have done my impression, even as I'm doing my impression, you may ring in by saying your name. The first person to say their name, I will call upon them and they will give their answer. If it is incorrect, I will continue on with the impression until someone else rings in. Otherwise, it will give another person a chance to ring in and get the answer correct. Are you ready?
Sounds good.
All right. Donkey,
Philip.
get off my swamp, donkey. What?
Philip.
I think that was Philip, right? I think Philip was the
I
first
believe I
one.
was the first one. That was a horrible impression of Shrek the Ogre, is what I believe that was.
I think it was better than Hoffman's. I don't know what you're talking about.
Here I was thinking it was going to be something fresh.
And that's where I got you with the 1-2. You wouldn't expect it to come twice, now would you? So with that being said,
I feel so dirty.
the winner is Philip Amrine. He wins this week. Congratulations to all the contestants. You guys did a fantastic job. Thank you. And I am David McSlexy Sampson, and I will talk to you all very, very soon.
I don't think there's one iota of Mexi in you, but I digress. Thank you, David Sampson, for coming on, being our wonderful host. We do appreciate it. Robe and all, thank you. Halloween's over, but Hugh Hefner lives on in you. Of course, we do want to say thank you so much to the Drink Wine Spill Tea crew. Jamie did have to leave us, but we know that she knows that we are thankful for her. CJ, you stuck with us throughout the entire thing. We appreciate you. We appreciate you showing us your puppers right there. You have a dog, and we love it. Thank you so much. Where can the people, one last time, promote the Drink Wine Spill Tea podcast? Where can they find you guys?
Yeah, I think the main places are going to be Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I feel like those are the most accessible, and they can follow us on Instagram at drinkwine_spill_tea, or our Twitter, which is drinkwinespilltea with the letter T, not the word.
Phenomenal.
And I have to say, when you guys relaunch or in whatever manner or fashion you do that, when you guys are back together, I look forward to it very much, and I'm totally open to being a guest on the podcast.
Hey,
just let me know.
We like to do things back and forth, so we'll have you guys on there too.
Phenomenal. We can't wait. We can't wait. And thank you so much. Let's go along to some slappy content. Slap it. Slap it. And don't stop slapping. That slaps, of course, the part of the show where we bring you our weekly dose of entertainment. And I like to be more on theme, and I have brought forth an entity of entertainment as such. But Hoffman, what are you bringing forth this week?
All right. Well, did I already give you guys Freedom Writers, the movie?
You did. You did.
I did. Okay.
This will now have been
written down here.
2 weeks ago that you did.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So I was saving this song for the episode that we eventually do, which I mentioned earlier, where I'm drunk and Phil is high, or maybe we're both high. Who knows? Because it would have been themed. And I know that, Phil, you love a good theme.
I love a good theme.
And so I was going to save this for then. But because we're promoting a podcast called Drink Wine, Spill Tea, don't take this the wrong way. The song is called Withdrawal, right? And it's by Max Frost. It's called Withdrawal by Max Frost. It's a very good song. It's another one of these songs that I've discovered in the last few weeks, and it's just, I have been jamming to it. It's very good. You should check it out. It's called Withdrawal by Max Frost. Max Frost. God, I am drunk. Phil, take it away.
Yes, mine is probably more on par, a little bit more. So my song that I will be adding to the slap list that we have continuously building, which we haven't actually plugged in a while. Where they can find it on Spotify, and what's it labeled as?
I haven't updated it in weeks, and now I've lost the motivation since you added freaking Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke, one of the worst songs ever to grace this planet.
Well, eventually it'll be updated and uploaded, but it remains in its current version on Spotify. So enjoy it as it is.
It's called That Slaps by POWWOW Podcast.
I love it. But yes, mini segment, That Slaps, my favorite song, encouraging around alcohol or booziness, Cherry Wine by Hosier. Very good song. Very good, meaningful lyrics. Again, probably more indie than anything. Would not go with Blurred Lines, although I guess Blurred Lines in its own way is boozy. But I digress. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. We could not do this show without you, the listeners. We appreciate it. And we do have a couple more people to thank on that note.
Yeah, thank you to Jake Corlang and Cass and Crossland for the music that you hear on the show. And of course, I'm gonna take the opportunity to say thank you to CJ and Jamie from Drink Wine and Spill Tea, their podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. It was such a blast interviewing you guys and then playing a game. So much fun. And I look forward to listening to a few more of your episodes on their podcast. But you should check them out. And of course,
thank you so much to Josh Hans and Tara Amstutz for their wonderful contributions to the podcast. Of course, you can see them each and every week, hear them each and every week. Thank you so much to both of you. We could not do it without you. And for you, the listeners, make sure that you continue to listen to all of our new episodes that come out every week, 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, or wherever you find it on Fridays. Of course, that can be found on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere pretty much that you can enjoy all your favorite podcasts, except for Pandora, because we are not Drink Wine, Spill Tea. We say screw you, Pandora.
Donkey, did you drink all the wine? Shrek, it was that bear over there who drank the wine.